Hey there, so today we have another review, and this is a beer from Sierra Nevada. This is Flipside Red. So really impressed me when I had this one. I think I reviewed this a few months ago, or a handful of months ago. And this is, again, a beer that I thought was like relatively old, but in the actual world of craft beer, is not actually that old. I think it's like a handful of years old, maybe a little bit more. And this is Flipside Red. This is their red IPA. So interesting thing, if you want to skip the review, please go ahead. On the website, they didn't update it. On the descriptor, they say that, this dominates with Simcoe Centennial Citra, but as the hops listed, the descriptor saying some of the hops in there, as a descriptor, it actually has some of those hops switched out and actually has a newer hop program with, I think, some Idaho 7, which is a relatively new hop that, came on the market a few years ago. And so it's a relatively new hop kind of beer. And also, interestingly enough, there are some of your traditional malts in there. I think it's two-row crystal malt and wheat, but then there's also Especial, which is actually a Chilean malt. And then it's a Chilean crystal malt, which is pretty cool. I think generally, or not for a fact, generally, American craft breweries use malts from Germany, Canada, America, Germany, Britain, sorry. And so like those are sort of the big, producers of malt that a lot of American craft brewers would use. But Chile is also producing, I guess, some interesting malts. And it's really cool that a large brewery like Sierra Nevada, the largest craft brewery in the country, is using Chilean malts. And then actually the through-weight session IPA that I reviewed also uses a Chilean malt. So I think that's a little cool thread that they're throwing in with Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada obviously is a classic great brewery, but they're sprinkling some new hops in there, sprinkling some new malts in there. So I think that's a secret, kind of cool little thing that they're doing. But this one's actually not that fresh, but it's part of a 12 pack that I got. So you might see you might have seen some reviews that I'm doing. And this actually, oh wow, 1, 2, November, December, anyway, 4 months old. Oh, really? That's pretty interesting because, a mixed pack actually obviously has different, dating on it, but that's actually not that fresh. Oh, very curious to see how this one turns out. But the beer is obviously a red IPA. Comes in a beautiful kind of like a medium amber color, lightly tan head to it. Yeah, actually pretty deep red, kind of ruby color to it. So it's pretty nice. Again, recently reviewed a few beers that were oxidized, quite fresh, especially the Founder Centennial that did. And, I get berries, almost like cranberry cherry. A nice kind of resiny hop character. Pine. A little bit of like woodsy and dankness. A little bit of like kind of biscuity malt in there. It's like kind of caramelly sweetness, but that kind of like rich, kind of American kind of like hop character where it's like, West Coasty. Cheers. .2%. And again, Sierra Nevada, obviously, if you keep it with a cold chain, I found this on Cold Shelf. 4 months in, this IPA, I would highly not recommend that you buy any beers or IPAs this old, and it's held up pretty well. I mean, obviously, I think it would be a lot more punchy and a lot more interesting. And I have had, obviously better example of this, but it's not bad. It's a really beautiful, kind of clean, dry beer with that kind of like Sierra Nevada-esque kind of take to it. As a red IPA, I like it for the fact that it's actually not that sweet. There's that complexity of like that. Oh, actually, sorry. I think there's actually a little bit of chocolate malt in here. So there's a little bit of that kind of like light hints of almost like light roast, but it's not really quite there. It has a nice kind of like toasted, deep, crusty, artisanal bread kind of like complexity to the malt on this one. Almost as there's Munich or something in here. There's a nice spritziness. There's a deep kind of like caramelized grapefruit peel, ruby red grapefruit thing going on. Got a little bit of mint and pine. It's refreshing. It's dry. The bitterness is at a great point at this kind of like medium to medium plus, leaning on medium plus kind of thing. The sweetness just like plays in there really nicely, accentuating those hop characteristics anywhere from the grapefruit in here to the pine to the spiciness that to the mint. It almost tastes like there's rye in here with that little bit of spiciness, and I guess that's from the hops. You know, like 4 months in, this stands up so well, and I can't imagine how great and expressive it'd be, even fresher. You know, it's just a fantastic beer. Really enjoying coming back to some of these classics, and this is a great beer. It's very unfortunate that this is actually not a 6-pack beer. It actually only comes in the 12-pack that you can get. It's good. It's well constructed. It's not as vibrant and as expressive that I'd like. So, you know, with a caveat that this is not as fresh as it can be. It's actually quite interesting because, like, I think some of the beers actually in this packet or in the box are like a month away from the packaging. Like ideally you'd have like all the beers brewed fresh, throw them all in a 12-pack, all same similar date, but this is like actually quite different. But how's her rating? I generally don't recommend the 12-packs. You know, a lot of beers like, why would I drink that? The Sierra Nevada one is very good. The Sierra Nevada hop 12-pack, you'll see me do some reviews of them. Sorry, it's a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, Torpedo, the Flipside Red, Coffee Stout. I guess it's not the hop one. There's Coffee Stout in there, and the Throughweight was their Session IPA. This would get higher regards. Again, fresh. I'm like trying to like take that back for what it is right now. This beer gets a 91. I'm liking these beers more. Let's go with a 92 on this one. Sierra Nevada Flipside Red, highly recommended. Check it out. Try out their 12-pack. Sierra Nevada doing consistent great beer, and then also playing around with some things here and there, right? You don't really know about it. The beer is still great, but then you go on the website, you find out what hops are in there. Oh, they're throwing in some, like, you know, updated malts and hops in there. Very interesting. Until next time, guys, cheers. Later.